Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor.
Hey everybody, we are still in Dallas, Texas for the NRA convention, and we hit the floor yesterday serving BlackRifle coffee at the FN America booth, serving BlackRifle coffee at the 511 booth, and serving BlackRifle coffee at the 9 Line booth. The cool thing about these conventions like SHOT Show and NRA is we get together with a lot of industry professionals and people that have been friends for a long time that are doing cool things in the firearms industry. So today, our guest is Jim Hodge, owner and president, CEO of Hodge Defense. Welcome.
Well, I got to correct you a little bit. My wife is 68% owner.
Ooh, that's a brave move.
Well, I figured out, I starting this, I thought, well, if I had and she's Hispanic on top of that, if I had a, minority female as owner, it'd help out. But, I don't think people give a shit about that.
So, Jim, you and I go back, 6 years now?
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, and I met you through Sergeant Major retired Tom Bacino, owner of Tactical Ranch.
Good American.
Yes, great guy. And you guys out there have probably seen him in some various videos, and you've definitely seen his Tactical Ranch in a lot of our old videos when Matt and I lived in El Paso. So tell us, when did you first start building guns?
About 16, 17 years ago. Just like a lot of people that may or may not be listening, is you put stuff together that you like and figure out what works. But professionally, I started 4.5 years ago.
So you did it first as just kind of necessity.
Absolutely.
You wanted to customize something for you. Absolutely.
I've carried a gun for 25 years and always had the opportunity to financially afford to do whatever I wanted to do, which makes my life a lot easier. And wanted to play king for a day, because I carried a gun. It's like, well, I don't like that about that, and I'll change that. And that's kind of where my thoughts and the way I wanted things designed and one of the things laid out kind of spawned from. And with that, I also consulted for various companies for the past 15 years, but never took a dime for it.
Yeah, because you have a lot of design and IP that lives in a lot of other firearm companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, at what was kind of the breaking point when you said, "Hey, I'm gonna chase this as a profession"?
It wasn't a breaking point for me. It was a breaking point for my wife. I'm scared of her. It really. It was me traveling so much. I contracted with the government, and getting older, getting fatter, getting slower. I figured out, there was a guy that told me a long time ago that sometimes you got to lay down the sword and pick up the shield, and if you're going to do that and be at home, I got to have something to generate revenue. So rather than giving out a lot of my ideas and watching my friends do well with it, I wanted to keep some for myself, and I started Hodge Defense.
Yeah, so at that time, did you have friends that were like asking you to build stuff for them? And
oh yeah,
like people were
teammates,
were
everything.
using
Yeah,
the
yes,
stuff.
yeah, no, absolutely, no, teammates and oftentimes I wasn't building for myself; I was building for someone else. But it wasn't large numbers or anything like that. It's like, hey, can you hook me up on this? Yeah, you go buy the receiver, or you go buy some of these parts. And
now, was it kind of a 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach? Like,
absolutely.
you were still had a career somewhere? And
no, absolutely. There was the only time that I took off from traveling. I went to work for Barrett for a year, and that was during PSR 1. And Chris Barrett had designed the 98 Bravo, and they wanted me to come in and refine it to what's now the MRAD. So a lot of what's in the MRAD today is kind of my first professional attempt at design work.
Let's get into that. Like, where you've carried a gun for 25 years, and obviously, passion and obsession with the mechanics of it. When were you first starting to come up with better ways to improve these things?
When I figured out I needed to create my own identity, as a company, right? But no, there are certain things that gun companies can. It's kind of funny. You can walk across the NRA floor right now, and a lot of great companies doing a lot of great things, but a lot of times they're using other people's stuff, and which doesn't really make them unique.
Yeah, I mean, you see that every year. It's almost just a
Yeah.
It's a different. It's the same thing with a different label or a different color.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and not to say again that they're bad or anything like that. If that's their business model, that's what they choose to do. And to me, there's a guy that told me a long time ago. Building a brand is the most important thing. And to build a brand, you have to have some differences between you and everyone else. And in order to do that, you have to design things that are uniquely to you. So with that in mind, and going back now starting as Hodge Defense, my first guns were other people built, but I had a role in or some say in some of the components that I was putting on my gun from the past, and it took a little bit of time for me to redo receivers, uppers and lowers, and handguards and barrel tapers and gas blocks, and even down to forward assists and pivot and takedown pins. A lot of that in my Mod 2 type of series of guns, is based off of my architecture. Other people still make them because I just don't want a big industrialization footprint. But even to the forward assist and pivot and takedown pins, I mean, I've changed all that.
And so, diving into that realm, what was kind of the first once you went full bore with the brand? What was kind of your first big hurdles? Because this is the AR market, such a competitive industry.
But honestly,
but to survive,
I'm lucky or blessed, right? And when someone wants to get into the AR business and they're fresh off the street,
because we saw this boom in 2013.
Yeah,
you had all these micro AR brands,
right.
And now none of them exist anymore.
No, absolutely. But when you're fresh off the street and you don't have a relationship within the industry that I've had, I've always kind of been behind the scenes on a lot of stuff, and so the relationships were there, and that is what helped me out. So it was almost a little skewed. I mean, I was lucky in a way that I had the relationships with companies like Daniel Defense, and Surefire, and Magpul, and blah 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 blah. That
places that you have to get components from.
Yeah, oh, no, absolutely.
On time.
And then, your average guy says, okay, I want to build ARs and I want my barrel to be spec'd this way. Well, that minimum order is 500. Well, again, because I had relationships, I can slow roll into that. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's you remember the Legion debacle.
Yeah.
They came out hard into the market. They sold a ton of, pre-sales and then disappeared.
Yeah, I don't do pre-sales.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't do a lot of guns commercially. I started the company thinking I wanted to be a gun company. Well, with all the best intentions in the world, I think everyone could relate to the fact that when you start something, you think you're going to go down a road. And eventually it doesn't really lead that way, but maybe can lead to something better. And Hodge Defense now is, yes, we still build guns, limited runs, and I enjoy doing that because I can still have fun doing that. But what we've really become...
And you have been contracted for special agencies to do special things.
Yes. But, we're really more... We've become more of a solution provider, almost kind of like an architectural firm. And I say that all the time, and I know it sounds redundant, but we do a lot of design work now. I have guys and companies that I work with on I'm not a drafts person. I'm not an engineer, but I'm a concept guy, and sometimes I just get really lucky. But I have folks that I go to that I contract out to help me digitize things, help me get things in perspective from an industrialization standpoint, a design standpoint, and without those guys, I don't think I can do it. But again, that all goes back to relationships. We've been friends a long time, and if you have good relationships, they can help you carry your water sometimes. So with that in mind, we've really become more of a design firm.
Yeah. So your guys' branding and marketing approach is incredibly unique to the firearms industry. Can you kind of explain where you pulled that from? Where did you come up with this kind of brand identity that you've adopted over the last few years?
I've looked at marketing in this sector of the industry, and it was all the same. It's all kind of dark and tactical.
Product photos or girls with a gun and
guys stacking on doors.
Yeah,
and,
it's super cliche.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of the folks that I've worked with in the past, and the folks that I try to cater to, they've done that. And I wanted to do something a little bit different that was a little bit more Americana. So I needed to pick a style. And if you look at, kind of our greatest generation of the 50s and kind of the atomic age, and when Americans made American things, and
there was a lot of propaganda then.
Yeah, but it still kind of is,
and
right?
It's super cool.
It is. And, if I can, I have my tagline is, if you get it, you get it, right?
Yeah.
And, the guys that want to see tactical photos, we can supply that and we can do that, but that's not my shtick. I would rather do something that is a little bit more unique, kind of be the Gary Larson in a way of the gun business. Not in my guns, but in my marketing.
And it shows through. If you guys out there are not following Hodge Defense on Facebook or Instagram, it's one of the more interesting pieces out there, because you guys are the polar opposite of unique when it comes to marketing.
Thank you.
Your brand, and it's super cool.
Well, thank you. Again, that's
the art is fun. It's funny. It's cool. And you saying that right now, I want to be the Gary Larson of marketing for guns. You exactly are it. You've hit the mark.
Well, but here's the deal. Again, the guys that have done it, right? That have carried these things in austere environments and shit like that, man. I don't know. I think they get it a little bit more.
They like humor.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, they get it a little bit more, rather than, again, that cliche. Someone.
A professional doesn't look at a stack photo and go, "Oh man, that's what I want." They just ignore it. It's completely.
No. You're not selling. Yeah, you're selling the tactical. You're not selling the product.
And this
or the brand.
I created it was like 3 years ago. I created a 4-way tree of the tactical industry and the different divides of the markets. You have your tier 1 guys, your professionals, your guys that work for all the agencies that do this stuff, and then you have your enthusiasts, and then you have your sportsmen, and then you have your conventional.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that do it for a living, but they're not in it to be an expert. They're just in it. To hit those different places, you have to hit them differently. Mm-hmm. Because you can't hit your enthusiast. Your enthusiast looks at that tactical photo and goes, "Oh, that's cool."
No, they look at that tactical photo and go, "Oh, that's fucked up. That's screwed up. Look at his grip. Look how he's holding the gun."
That's just the internet in general.
But his pouches are wrong. It's all laid out, stupid like. And no, I want to avoid, not because of scrutiny. I wanted someone to look at anything that I do, and I've had help with some of it, but it's predominantly I'm doing it all now, just via an iPad, really. And someone to look at it and just smile.
That's different.
Yeah. You go, shit, I've never seen that before.
So what's in store for 2018 for you? Anything big coming up?
Yeah, a lot more design work. I'm working some different strategies with the government. really design
Coming out
work.
with any accessories?
Yeah, I've got some mounts that I've been working on for the past couple of years. I mean, some of the guys have seen the dog bone mounts, which are red dot mounts for like micro T's and MROs, ACOGs. But I have a cantilever mounting system and a precision mounting system for variable powered precision optics. I've been working on that, and it's funny for those that they talk about design work, and it shows. And this is all kind of self incriminating to some degree. You design something, you think it's cool, you spend a bunch of money doing it, you get models done, you get them in your hand, you're like, all right, yeah. Then you get the metallic or the alloy versions of those models done. You start looking at testing, and you're like, shit. They help me test. Since they license a lot of my stuff, we have a great relationship. It's a great company. I mean, they've been building guns for 128 years. I mean, the home of John Moses Browning. It's historically one of the coolest companies out there for firearms. But if I do something and they want it, they test the ever-living dog shit out of it, which keeps me from spending a whole bunch of money testing it as well. But testing is one of those things that I don't know that a lot of people really do, as far as investing in the time, investing in the money, just in ammunition and the proper equipment to read or to evaluate the test, to drop testing and things of that nature. And all of my stuff has gone through that. A lot of my stuff has gone through Aberdeen Proving Grounds as well. And again, I learned from that. There are things that I knew that I can improve upon, and then things that I were remarkably shocked on that, holy shit, that passed that test. Oh my God. That's one of the things that I think manufacturers, bigger manufacturers do, but some of the smaller ones, it's hard for them to quantify and spend that money. I mean, we're talking tons and tons of money.
And time.
And
expertise.
And equipment to be able to evaluate the test. So that's one of the things my relationship with FN allows me to do. So going back to the scope mount, before we start industrializing them to some degree, there's some massagings that we need to do to them. So I know it'll pass the test. When I design something, I try to design overkill into it. Redundancy and strength.
Awesome. So where can everybody find you when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, everything like that?
I don't have a lot of followers, and the ones that I have are organic, but Hodge Defense on Facebook.
HODGE Defense.
Yeah. And Hodge Defense Systems. And then same thing on Instagram.
Awesome.
I got a Twitter feed as well. I'm lazy with it.
No, you definitely need to check out Jim's branding. It's fun and interesting, and it'll keep you coming back.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Again, if you're in the market for a high quality AR platform firearm, hit this guy up because he'll build you the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Jim.
You
This
bet.
is Launch Code.